Air layering is a useful method of producing roots on the stem of indoor landscape plants that have become leggy through the loss of their lower foliage. This method, believed to have been developed centuries ago by the Chinese, it has been used successfully as a mean of propagating some of the more difficult to root plants, because it required excessive care and patience. The procedure was to wound the stem or branch of a plant, and enclose the wounded stem with moist sphagnum moss or similar rooting medium, until roots develop from the wounded area. Success was dependent upon the ability of the propagator to keep the rooting medium moist until the roots were formed, and large enough to support the new plant. Only since the development of polyethylene film has air layering become a practical method of propagation for the home gardener and amateur horticulturist. Steps for making a successful air layering. Step 1. With a sharp knife, make 2 parallel cuts about 1.5 inches apart around the stem and through the bark and cambium layer. Connect the 2 parallel cuts with 1 long cut and remove the ring of bark, leaving the inner woody tissue exposed. Step 2. Apply a handful of damp sphagnum moss so that it envelopes the wounded portion of the stem. Tying the moss in place with string helps keep it in position while completing the process. The sphagnum moss should be soaked several hours to ensure that it is thoroughly moist. Squeeze out surplus water before using, since excessive moisture will result in decay and deterioration of the plant tissue. Step 3. Using a sheet of polyethylene film approximately 6 by 12 inches or 8 by 12 inches, depending upon the size of the plant stem. Wrap the ball of sphagnum moss using the butcher's fold to secure a tight seal where the 2 ends of the sheet are joined. Step 4. Draw the upper end of the film snugly around stem, making sure that none of the moss is exposed. Fasten securely with electrician's tape, taking care that the tape extends beyond the film and adheres to the stem. Repeat the procedure on the lower end, again making sure there is a snug fit. Moisture must not escape and excess moisture must not enter when watering or syringing the plants. Support the plant with stake or splint to prevent breakage at the wounded area. Step 5. After the new roots have penetrated the moss ball and are visible on all sides, the rooted branch may be removed from the parent plant. The rooting time will vary with plant variety as well as the season in which it is performed. Step 6. Remove the newly rooted plant from the parent plant with a sharp knife or pruning shears, making the cut just below the ball of moss and roots. Carefully remove the polyethylene film, without disturbing the roots or removing the ball of moss. Plant in a container using a good potting mixture or plant in a well-prepared soil bed. Step 7. Placing a polyethylene tent over the newly potted plant for 4 to 8 days until the root system is well established. It is helpful as it will aid in preventing excessive loss of moisture. Keep the plant under a light shade and avoid direct sunlight until the new root system is well developed. Many plants are lost in the final stage of the process because the root system is not sufficiently developed to sustain the top portion of the new plant. By keeping the new plant in a humid environment, it is possible to develop a good root system on rather large cuttings. Once the plant is well established, it is best to harden off the foliage by gradually exposing it to normal atmosphere.